After all those crimes, did Jack truly leave no trace behind? Or was he merely a breath away from the noose?
The CID at Whitechapel was initially led by Inspector Edmund Reed. After Nichols' murder, Scotland Yard sent in a trio: Frederick Aberline, Henry Moore, Walter Andrews. Aberline, the whiskered detective with intimate knowledge of the district, became the de facto lead in the labyrinth of alleys. Graphic on screen, portrait outline of Inspector Frederick Aberline, joined Metropolitan Police in 1863, rose quickly, Sergeant, 1865, Inspector, 1873, CID Head H Division, 1878. Sent back to Whitechapel in Sept 1888 to investigate the Ripper. A large force fanned out, knocking on every door in Whitechapel. Witnesses were questioned, clothing and hands inspected for blood. Identifying victims was a priority, hoping someone knew them. When the murders of Stride and Eddowes crossed jurisdiction lines, Sir James Fraser of the City of London Police put up a £500 reward. CID head Robert Anderson was abroad, so Chief Inspector Donald Swanson was brought in to centralize command from Scotland Yard. Because of the savage mutilations, investigators suspected those with anatomical skill: surgeons, butchers, slaughterers. Major Henry Smith reported that 76 butchers were interviewed, alibis checked, employees vetted, and ultimately eliminated. As the murder's still out in the dark, citizens refused to wait. On September 10, 1888, the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, led by George Lusk and local tradesmen, began night patrols, armed with whistles and sticks. Their own reward fund and private detectives were unleashed in direct response to the police failures. By late October, police surgeon Thomas Bond was invited to profile the killer. From the mutilated corpses, he concluded, one killer, throats cut first, victims lying down. He rejected theories of surgical expertise, seeing instead a man driven by erotic mania and periods of homicidal rage. This is the earliest known offender profile. George Chapman was listed as a suspect, but there was never enough proof. Chapman matched some geographic and behavioral patterns, but the case never closed. Despite tens of thousands of interviews, overlapping jurisdictions, private patrols, and early forensic insight, no convict emerged. The case officially remained open until 1892. Sherlockian ambition, Victorian investigation, multiple agencies, all culminating in a blank. Jack the Ripper receded into legend. The hunt ended. The mystery did not. The suspects. The terror that gripped Whitechapel in 1888 may have ended, but the whispers never did. For over a century, the question has persisted: who was Jack the Ripper? Was he one of the many souls who dwelled in the squalor of the East End, living an ordinary life by day and a monstrous one by night? The concentration of his killings, always on weekends or holidays, always within a stone's throw of one another, hints that he lived and worked in the area, a phantom hiding in plain sight. Or was he something else entirely? A man of means, a doctor or an aristocrat, slumming in the city's underbelly to indulge a dark obsession. This theory, born of a deep-seated fear of the unknown and a mistrust of the powerful, paints a chilling portrait of a killer who could disappear back into high society without a trace. The hunt for his identity has spawned a morbid field of study known as ripperology, where every scrap of evidence and every rumor is picked apart in the hope of unmasking a ghost. The list of the damned. The list of suspects is endless, a chilling roster of over 100 names. Some were briefly considered by the police, like the 3 men mentioned in Sir Melville Macnaghten's private report, though the evidence against them was always circumstantial at best. But the most famous suspects, the ones that fuel the most passionate debates, were never even on the original police radar. There's the disgraced royal, Prince Albert Victor, the celebrated painter, Walter Sickert, the eccentric author, Lewis Carroll. In the absence of a definitive answer, anyone with a shadowy connection to the case is fair game, with modern authors free to weave their own damning narratives. The problem is, time is a cruel adversary. The passage of years has corrupted the very evidence that could have given us a name. Modern science, armed with DNA analysis, has offered tantalizing but ultimately unproven claims. DNA from a shawl allegedly found at a crime scene was used to point a finger at a barber named Aaron Kosminski, but the science behind the claim has been widely discredited.
The letters from the supposed killer have also been tested, but too many hands have touched them over the years, leaving them too contaminated for a reliable conclusion. The truth, it seems, remains hidden in the past. Jack the Ripper's identity is one of history's most enduring riddles, a mystery that continues to haunt us, a dark shadow in the long night of London. Whispers from the killer, the Ripper letters. Hundreds of letters poured into police offices and news agencies during the Whitechapel murders, some sincere, most hoaxes, and a few chilling in their promise of violence. Among them, 3 stand out: Dear Boss, Saucy Jackie, and From Hell. Dear Boss letter dated 25 September 1888. Postmarked the 27th, the Dear Boss letter arrived at the Central News Agency and was forwarded to Scotland Yard on the 29th. Signed ominously as Jack the Ripper, it boasted of future murders and taunted authorities by promising to clip the lady's ears off. When Catherine Eddowes was discovered days later with part of her ear removed, the letter's prophecy unnerved the investigation. This correspondence was the first time the name Jack the Ripper appeared, and it sparked global infamy. Soon after, the Metropolitan Police and press published facsimiles in hopes of identification, but no credible leads followed. Saucy Jackie postcard. Just days later, the Saucy Jackie postcard, postmarked 4 October 1888, referenced the double event murders of 30 September, noting 2 victims killed in swift succession. Its handwriting closely resembled the Dear Boss letter, suggesting a common author. The postcard's author even remarked that he lacked time to sever more ears as promised. From Hell letter. Then came the most disturbing, the From Hell letter, delivered on 16 October 1888, directly to George Lusk, head of the local vigilance committee. Inside a small box was half a human kidney, preserved in alcohol, believed to belong to Eddowes. The handwriting and tone diverged sharply from the earlier transatlantic-style mockery. Analysis by Dr. Thomas Openshaw confirmed the kidney was human and from a left side, possibly consistent with the victim. But controversy remains whether it was a cruel gag or proof of an authentic killer's message. Experts' opinions. Crime room montage. Modern forensic linguistics by Dr. Andrea Nini strongly links the Dear Boss letter and the Saucy Jackie postcard to a single author, likely a journalist working the press circuit, not the murderer himself. In 1931, reporter Fred Best, along with colleague Tom Bullen, reportedly confessed to fabricating at least those 2 communications to boost newspaper sales and perpetuate public fear. Reddit historians reflect this consensus as well. Many consider Dear Boss and the postcard deliberate hoaxes, while From Hell remains the strongest candidate among all the letters for being authentic, but even that remains debated. The myth of Jack the Ripper was born not from forensic evidence, but sensational prose, and the press's hunger to feed it. Today, the truth about who penned them, or whether any were genuine, remains lost in smoke and speculation. The only certainty is that fear and fiction became inseparable in the shadowed narrative of Whitechapel. Many believe Jack seeks lost souls. He claims those who feel lost or forsaken. But why? Is he a vengeful spirit? Or a protector of the forgotten? Every answer leads to more questions. Many local legends speak of similar encounters. Each tells a unique tale. Yet they share chilling themes: fear, loss, and the thin line between life and death. Jack embodies these fears. In summary, Jack the Reaper remains a mystery. Is he a bringer of doom or a guide for lost souls? We may never truly know. Yet the stories continue to captivate. So, what are your thoughts on Jack the Ripper? Have you encountered him? Or do you dare to explore further? Share your stories in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and like for more chilling mysteries.